Hi, I'm Forrest Griffin.
Brian Caraway.
And Lisa Tate.
What's up, guys? This is Joseph Benavidez, UFC flyweight.
Hi, this is Greg Jackson, and you're listening to It's MMAzing, and that is an amazing pun.
Get it? Like MMA, but amazing? Amazing.
Radio.
Welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. With me this week, as always, and I mean that more so today than I do most other weeks, DJ Mark.
What's up?
That's it, folks.
That's it.
Let me tell you, though, in fairness, now that we're a three-man group here, this is more likely. Just playing the odds. One person can't make it.
Look, sometimes you come into your shift at Starbucks and there's only two baristas there, and the store's not going to close. It's still open for business. We're going to make do with just two. We can do it.
Mike decided, you know what? Nothing's happening in MMA. I'm not needed. No, the man had a real reason. He had to miss this, but...
I mean, if there is any week to miss just because of pure lack of talking points, this is as good as any.
If there was an entire month to miss, it was this last month.
True. It's going to gear up. Next week's going to be good, but we got to slog through some shit.
Yeah, I feel last week we looked at this card this week, and we might have lied to ourselves about how good shit
something
looked.
got moved because I thought there was one other.
There was something else
was
happening, right? Yeah,
notable. Like this Andre Arlovski fight got moved or something. Maybe I don't know.
Wasn't that happened?
I mean, happened this past card.
Oh, you're
there was
saying
one other
on
fight on here. I don't know. Maybe we thought more of Grant Dawson. I don't really know if I know who he is.
It's it's dawned on me right now, Mark, that as I get emails from ESPN Plus that they're gonna renew my subscription. Sorry, you're not part of that group of cheap people at whatever $70. They're just playing Dana White's Contender Series every week, and I ain't looking at one fucking second of it.
I think they show highlights on YouTube, but I don't even watch those. Yeah, that is definitely a part of the branch I do not mess with.
Yeah, it's anyway, I'm trying to figure out what we lost on this upcoming card. Of course, we're talking
Maybe we didn't.
We're talking, of course, about the Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vittori fight.
Yeah. We're going to break that down later. Something to look forward to.
Exactly. We're definitely not going to break it down in about 3 minutes total. We might extend that all the way to 6 minutes. All right, folks. There was a card this past weekend. A couple, actually. Bellator went out there. And we're talking about Bellator first here. Because they put on, undoubtedly, the more consequential fight card. There was more importance to it. And I'm just going to assume, after yet another UFC fight night card in this past month, without a fight of the night, that Bellator put on a better fight. Better fight card in general. Apparently, I learned this on the Co-Main Event podcast this morning, or listening this afternoon. Shout out. 3 of the last 4 fight nights, no fight of the night.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Don't usually keep tabs on that. That wouldn't
be
the worst thing in the world.
But honestly, we were so paying attention to these cards at this point. And the only one that was a fight of the night was Marina Rodriguez versus Mackenzie Dern, which that was just it was all right.
Right? It was good.
It was a good fight.
It was a good fight, but it wasn't spectacular.
Sometimes the shitty cards on paper result in shitty cards. Anyway, Bellator happened. Bellator went out there. They said, we're going to put together the finals of our light heavyweight Grand Prix. Semifinal matchups we had were Vadim Nemkov versus Julius Anglicus. We admittedly didn't know shit about Julius Anglicus, Mark. We learned that you can crack your boy Vadim Nemkov if you're Julius Anglicus, huh?
Yeah, I think he was a injury replacement. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Rumble.
Right.
Rumble got sick, but it wasn't COVID or anything. Though apparently he was dealing with something serious, which I don't want to. I mean, I think he used to have. Didn't he have kidney problems at one point back in the day from all the weight cutting?
When he was cutting, he had some health issues.
He's back soon, but yeah. Julius Anglicus, a replacement. I'm not sure how short notice, because I feel the Rumble news was I heard it at least 3-4 weeks ago, I think. So
yeah, I don't think it was super last minute, but we didn't really know anything about him. And yeah, I only saw the first round. And Nemkov did get cracked. He took a good shot. And then he shot in, I think we've seen it before, but he has a pretty good double leg. He shoots in pretty fast, gets good penetration, and finishes those takedowns. So he was able to get the fight onto the ground. And I think he eventually did end up winning and finishing this fight late into the 4th round with a Kimura from top. So that was impressive, but I didn't really get to see all of it. So it's really, I can't put a lot of analysis behind what I saw there, but he looked good besides getting cracked. He's a guy that is a really good all-around striker. All-around fighter. His striking's really good. His ability to shoot and take the fight to the ground is key, especially in this fight where he got cracked. He was able to change the whole landscape of the fight by getting on top. His top game, is what you'd expect from someone who's a protege of Fedor. He works really good ground and pound, works the body to the head, does good work there, and then eventually did finish with a nice Kimura. So even though I didn't get to see all the fight, it's fairly impressive, fighting against someone we're not super familiar with. But unfortunate, him and Rumble would have been fucking fantastic. It would have been really fun cap to this event, but you gotta play the hand you're dealt.
They gotta book themselves a little Rumble versus Yoel again, and just give the winner.
He didn't look so good in his last fight. I'm like clamoring for that.
Honestly, they got to book that fight and then they'll give the winner a title shot, maybe, by the time this all plays out.
Sure, yeah, why not?
One side of the bracket, though, Vadim Nemkov successfully defends his championship, moves on to the finals. By the way, I stand by this. If the goddamn champion has to be in 5-round fights every time, everybody else should be in 5-round fights, too.
See, it would only seem fair, although we wouldn't need it in the other semifinal fight because it did not get out of the first minute.
Yeah.
So
we all went out there, or not we, you didn't, but
no, we did. We all did.
This is not the one you got right. Nope. We all got on the Corey Anderson. We all got on the Ryan Bader bandwagon, and we were wrong, real wrong.
Correct.
He got hit in the face, and that was it, basically. He defended, but Corey Anderson put it on him. Was it a left he got him with?
It was a counter right. So Bader kind of threw a lazy jab. He slipped the punch and threw an overhand counter right, which kind of tagged Bader behind the ear. And, Bader fell down. Corey followed up with some ground and pound. And like you were mentioning, Bader shelled up, tried to get back to his knees to work himself back up, would then, turn back to his back to defend there, and kind of kept doing that positional change where he would try to get, give up his back to work on his base to get back up, would eat a couple shots, turn back to his back to try to defend, and eventually he just ate I think it was a clean elbow, and then he bellied down, and then Corey poured on a few more, and that was more than enough the ref needed to see. And it was a decent, I think it was the right stoppage.
Yeah.
You could have had Bader flailing around for another minute or so, but the fight was done at that point. So good call.
Corey Anderson, quick to claim that he is the best light heavyweight in the world, which was news to the UFC light heavyweight champion, who knocked him out in, 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
And Nemkov, it's like, we still got a tournament, bro.
Yeah.
I'm the fucking champion. I also beat Bader, although not as quickly. So I'm sure, Corey's getting some confidence there. And
is it weird that I'm more impressed with Nemkov beating Bader than I am with Corey Anderson beating Bader? I don't know why, but I felt like the way Nemkov did it was just, I don't want to say, I don't know. Well, you were trying to get to, it was longer and I was able to enjoy it more.
They both got you. He really had to defend against Bader's different skill sets, whereas, Corey was able to capitalize on a lazy jab and, was able to finish the fight. So it's one of those things where it was we saw Nemkov really put some rounds in with Bader and was able to beat him wholeheartedly through those rounds, whereas Corey got a good shot in, followed up, which was the right thing to do, finished the fight quickly. But yeah, I mean, Scott Coker and obviously the Bellator brass are kind of saying this tournament's going to crown the best light heavyweight fighter in the world, and they have some validity to that. Their heavyweight bracket for this tournament was pretty stacked, but it is always hard to ignore what is happening over on the UFC and what Jan Blachowicz has been able to do. But I think you also look at him and, his record dating far back hasn't been, spotless. The loss against Thiago Santos kind of murks the waters a little bit. So, I think there's a lot of people in light heavyweight, both in Bellator and the UFC, that are, right up there in the top of the division, especially since John Jones seems to be going into heavyweight. DC's not there. It's kind of a new landscape. So they can make that claim and have some validity to it. But, with UFC and with Jan out there, it's hard to really, get super behind that message. I think Jan is easily one of the best out there. But,
I think he's probably the best light heavyweight in the world. Probably. It's weird that him beating Israel Adesanya meant so much to me, but like it showed, I don't know. That was like his real marquee fight, in terms of pressure and like eyes on him. I felt he got more eyes on that one than any of his other fights. So I was.
And
how you respond to pressure is a big deal as a champion, and not that there wasn't pressure when he fought Dominic Reyes, but I mean that was not on the same level of I guess, excitement or.
Yeah, he had to utilize more of the tool set too. He had to use the ground game too, which it kind of made you show him like, okay, this is not going to be a fight where he's going to be able just to stand and just knock the dude out. He's going to have to kind of utilize all the skills he has, and he has a good repertoire of things to fall back on with the wrestling and the ability to get down, control, and ground and pound on top. He showed a lot of versatility in that fight. But I mean, I think Nemkov and Corey Anderson have acquitted themselves quite well in this tournament. This tournament has been stacked. They've been fighting what I consider to be fairly high competition. Nemkov's last opponent, being a short notice replacement, still showed that he was a tough guy. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would, bang that drum and be like, oh yeah, Bellator's light heavyweight division is better than the UFC's, but I think the UFC's has taken a bit of a hit, and Bellator's has definitely gained some of the fighters that they've lost, and I think
Nemkov winning would be better for that claim.
I mean, Corey has some dirty history.
Corey got knocked out by the champion. So
yeah, he's had a couple fights that he's lost in the UFC. So it's hard to put him on the pedestal and be like, oh yeah, this is undoubtedly.
In his defense, he's got a win over Jan also 6 years ago. He does have that too.
Right.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I'm on the Vadim train these days, man. I'm a big fan of Nemkov.
Mm-hmm. He's been great. Yeah, like we said, this was a good performance. I think he had to win this fight, and we did see him struggle a little bit early on, but it looks like he made the adjustments to get the victory. And yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, I'd love to see whoever wins this tournament, whether it's Corey or Nemkov, be able to fight Jan, but that's never going to happen. So until Jan quits the UFC and goes to Bellator, but it is.
If Nemkov goes on some sort of run here, and we get like some heat behind him, I think they'd be happy to try to steal him from Bellator. But also on this card, Benson Henderson, a favorite of ours who hasn't looked good in Bellator, quite frankly, in years. Lost a tough one to Brent Primus by decision, but congratulations to Mrs. Bendo, Maria Henderson, on her on her first fight and getting a win. So
yeah, quick win. I mean, 40 seconds and winning by rear naked choke. Like that's a lot of work to get done, from standing to on the ground to having their back to sinking choke and choking them to submission in 40 seconds. So, we didn't get to see the fight. I think this was the only amateur fight on the card that I guess was not televised. Really? It says on Wiki that it's amateur.
Oh, I thought it was her pro debut, they were saying.
Maybe it is. Maybe, Wikipedia is not the, end all be all.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have given much congratulations about an amateur win. I've been like, yeah, whatever.
Well, a win's a win. You train, you go out there, you get it accomplished. You win in 40 seconds. That's pretty fucking impressive. So.
We'll talk about Bellator's next event. That's right, folks. Bellator's going to come up twice on this podcast. Their next event in Russia. Don't know how easy it is to travel there right now, but Russia this weekend, Bellator.
I mean, hopefully it's going to happen. It seems like there's lots of hoops you'd have to jump through to make sure all this stuff works. But
I mean, it's called Fedor. It's called Fedor calls Putin. That's
I guess what it goes. When you have a friend like that, it's easy to get people in.
Also, this week, folks, we saw Aspen Ladd and Norma Dumont go out there in the UFC's semi-fictional women's featherweight division. Admittedly, I'm pretty sure we said we didn't know shit about Norma Dumont. You picked her, but it was partly just because you're like, somebody should pick her, right?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of analysis behind it. It was just kind of picking against Ladd, I suppose, which is never a great thing. And I think at the record, she had some decent wins, but it was nothing, we
can't really break down what happened beyond. I just know that a jab and a jab and a cross was able to keep Aspen at bay pretty much for 25 minutes.
Yeah, and I heard it was lackluster, and I was like, well, I'm not going to spend the time then to go through 25
So a lot of people are coming in on Aspen Ladd's coach, which
we did see that. We both saw a video, which BT Sport, good on them, cut up a video that was just the corner talk, which I really appreciate
Yeah.
because I was like, I kind of want to see what all the hubbub is about, but don't want to go through a 25-minute fight.
I guess also that when did I get the gentleman's name? And now I can't find it. Aspen, see if you can pull that up while I'm babbling here. Aspen Ladd's coach is also her boyfriend, or at least that's what last time people checked. That was the impression we all had. And he was pretty harsh, I guess, by some people's estimation, on the corner advice, or I don't know if you want to call it advice, some of it, analysis, what was being said between rounds. Miesha Tate said some shit about if this is abuse, yada, yada, yada. Miesha Tate has somehow made her opinion about Aspen Ladd not something we can't trust, because I don't know, we don't, no one on, Mark and I don't understand why Miesha Tate's so upset about Aspen Ladd, quite frankly. So we're going to...
She's really been on her case.
Yeah, we don't, like, if I was just like Aspen Ladd, I would just just send a tweet like, get off my nuts. Can you get off my nuts, Miesha? That would have been her thing. But I guess he was, I saw it too. It was a little bit harsh. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad, honestly, Mark. And I wonder if we got a couple other factors here playing, where like the gender thing, and also the fact that they're in a relationship too, like making people view it from a certain lens. I'm wondering that. This is my opinion. Because we've seen other stuff in corners before. So I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. And it seems like most fighters that I saw on Twitter today were just saying, yeah, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
We talk often about what advice the corner gives, and if it's, what we think, is best for the fighter. Sometimes people will downplay the fighter losing rounds or what have you. And really, at the end of the day, it comes down to the chemistry between the coach and the fighter, and their chemistry between each other, and how the coach knows how to motivate that fighter to respond to the coaching that they're giving them. So I think when watching it, in the first couple rounds when Aspen, wasn't doing good, and her coach was telling her, you're losing, each round, she let her know you lost that round. So you're down a round, you're down 2 rounds, you're down 3 rounds. And, in the beginning was giving useful advice about what she wasn't doing right. She needed to get it off more. She needed to pressure. She needed to not let her stay on the outside and just jab 1-2 to win these rounds, because that's how she was winning it. Obviously not watching the fight, we kind of just have to adhere to what the corner was saying. But obviously Aspen wasn't making those adjustments she needed to win those rounds. So the corner got more heated, which is, understandable. I have to imagine it's very frustrating as a coach to see your fighter not only just not take the advice that you're giving them to do better, but like knowing in your heart, like they're capable of winning this fight. They're capable of making these adjustments that we're talking about and change the landscape and the momentum of this fight. And they just aren't able to do it, whether it's a mental thing, which like a mental block, or a physical thing that, maybe they're injured and they haven't told the coach, or maybe there's a certain technical aspect that when she's stepping off the line, she's getting hit with the jab and it's making it difficult for her to set up her shots, whatever it may be. What I really took away from the advice from the corner was really, I think it was between rounds 4 and 5, where I think it did get a little bit harsh. There was a lot less technical analysis going on, because at that point he had kind of already given his analysis of what needed to happen. And for me, it was the body language of Aspen Ladd that said, like, okay, at this point, sometimes you can kind of, be, the drill sergeant or the tough coach and kind of tell your fighter, get your shit together, and it'll inspire them and light a fire in them to do better. And then sometimes you're just berating a fighter who's losing a fight and who already has low self-confidence and is getting, and that's what I saw with Aspen's. Like, it looks like her self-confidence lowered more because of how strict and how, negative the corner's being. So up until that round, I was like, he's giving fairly good advice. I mean, one thing I was getting fucking annoyed with is every round, his fucking mask was getting lower and lower until he just stopped wearing it at all towards the last round. I was like, dude, just keep your mask on, fucking A. But it was really that in between the 4th and 5th round where it just seemed like he was berating Aspen Ladd, and it seemed like it was taking her down a notch. It was not inspiring her to perform better. It was just making her feel shitty about not having a good day at the office. And your day at the office is getting punched in the fucking face. So it definitely combines itself to be like, okay, this is not really horribly useful for your fighter. I mean, and that's the thing. And I think what you might have mentioned, Bob, or a lot of the fans have mentioned, is the same type of coaching was given in Aspen's last fight, where she was able to turn a corner and to win the fight. So I have to imagine that the coach, kind of thought like this had worked before, being kind of blunt, but honest, super critical of what's going on, has helped her make the adjustments. But on this particular night, it wasn't working. And it definitely seemed I think what was also kind of difficult to watch was he even said between rounds 4 and 5, you're losing the fight. You might have won that last round. So, like, obviously it looked like, maybe in round 4 she made some adjustments and was able to get back in there, but she needed a finish to win the fight. And it did seem like he was just berating her, and it did seem like her self-confidence went down, which I think was really unfortunate. I think that's where a lot of the criticism is coming from.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lavender Gooms has joined the podcast. Sir, how you doing?
There he is.
I'm doing very well, and I'm very happy that I came in at this exact moment. I feel it's almost fate. I feel what he said was not that harsh at all. It's nothing that was that out of the ordinary that you might hear a coach say to a man. If that had been a man rather than Aspen Ladd, would there have been such an outroar over what he said?
Mike, I mean, right before what Mark said, I asked the question. I'm like, I wondered if gender is a factor and also the fact that they're in a relationship.
Oh, did not know that either.
So I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not a fighter. I don't know. I mean, I feel worse stuff is said from high school football coaches to fucking teenagers.
So I apologize for just parachuting in. So this question may have been asked already. I didn't watch the fight, but from everything I read, she was just doing a lot of, single attacks, one punch, not really following
a jab and a cross were keeping her at bay for 25 minutes.
She was not being aggressive at all.
She wasn't big enough for this weight class, and she couldn't get inside.
Yeah. So was it that what he was saying? Was it that unfair? Was he being wrong? Was he being wrong in anything he was saying?
I mean, I don't think it's I think they need him. I think people are expecting more of a pick me up, given how bad the fight was going.
Okay, but then I'm
not people saying it was false what he was saying.
But then at the same time, where were these people getting up his ass the last time it worked out for him when he gave her some tough love and he knocked the chick out in the next round?
She knocked the chick out, not he knocked the chick out, Mike.
I'm sorry.
And Mike, and we were talking about before, I don't think the advice in and of itself was necessarily bad. And like you said, it worked before, so there's some proof to the pudding in there. For me, my main criticism was between rounds 4 and 5, and I don't know if you remember that corner. He was kind of berating her, kind of like he had before, but it seemed to affect her negatively. Like she mentally seemed like it was not motivating her, and that's what we were talking about before. Is like, sometimes you can get some tough love, and it lights a fire under a fighter's ass, and it gets them to perform better. At that point, it really wasn't helping her confidence at all. It was like her having a tough time not being able to figure out the puzzle, and then having your coach be like, what the fuck, dude? Figure out the puzzle. Do it. So, I mean, personally, and this is easy, sideline stuff, I think it would have been potentially helpful if he would have taken the route more of like, this is what you have to do, which he had done in the previous rounds. He was giving her solid advice, but it would have been maybe better for her self-confidence to be like, I know you can do this. You can do this. Like giving her some self-confidence instead of just telling her like, what the fuck are you doing? Get it together. Because at that point, he had already tried the tough love angle and it wasn't working. He had tried giving her advice and it wasn't working. And I'm not saying like if he would have been more boosting up her confidence, that would have changed the fight at all. Like I think she was going to lose this fight regardless. It just wasn't in there. But for me, it was that body language. You can just see in that last round, she was just like, I know, I'm fucking losing, and you're up my ass, and I'm going to lose this fight.
I wonder if he's like, this shit worked last time. Let me try again.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I guess, like, I think there's other stuff at hand to deal with your Aspen Ladd, and this is not necessarily the top of the list. She's 26 years old. There's plenty of time, but let's right the ship a little bit here, man. You missed weight a couple times. You should have taken this fight. Though, quite frankly, saying no to the UFC doesn't seem smart. Dana White today, the other day, flat out said it. Because Carla's waiting for a title shot. Carla Esparza, she said. And Dana White's like, I don't recommend waiting. If we call you, you should take a fight. And I'm like, at least he's telling the fucking truth, right?
I have no doubt that she likely took this fight to get back into the good graces of the UFC because, she did miss weight day before the fight. And the fight, well, not even that she missed weight. The fight had to be scrapped because she didn't have a great weight cut. So I wouldn't doubt she took this fight just so that she can tell the UFC, hey, well, like I helped save your main event, so that it could help her out in the future, but it didn't work out for her. Also, it colors the guys' comments a bit differently now that I know they're dating. Ooh, that's always a little iffy.
Yeah. Or at least that's the last we'd heard that they were dating.
And also,
not be dating no more.
Like, if the fight was more compelling, the corner stuff might not have been such headlines, but I think because it was such a slow, kind of boring fight, this was something, the articles and the commentary can kind of pull on to drive a narrative, because when there's not much happening in the fight, you're kind of looking to talk about something. And, a corner being really blunt with the fighter and, it working or not working is a narrative lens because that's really all I saw from this fight. I basically heard, after the fight happened, this fight was really bad, and the corner was kind of iffy. So, and all three of us, all we watched was the commentary. We didn't watch any of the fight, so we can't really give any analysis on what was happening in that regard, and if the corner advice had any merit in that aspect. But, given what was said, I don't think it's bad having these conversations about, what the corner's saying and analyzing that stuff. And in this particular night, it definitely didn't work, right? And it made the corner seem a little bad. But in the past it worked. So it is just kind of one of those things. And this is what we were talking about first, Michael, is like the chemistry between the fighter and the coach. That's really something they only know about. And if this works for them and they kind of can have a blunt conversation, because maybe their relationship is like that. Maybe their relationship is we're very honest with each other. If you're doing something I don't like, or there's something going on in a relationship that I'm unhappy with, I'm going to tell you up front. And that's how we communicate. And that's how we work together as a team. And, maybe in this particular fight, they were trying to use that same communication, but it obviously just wasn't working on any avenue, right? Aspen Ladd wasn't performing. The coaching wasn't getting her to perform any better. And it could very well be, I think you make a great point, Michael. This was a short notice fight for her. And fighting's totally mental. She didn't have weeks and weeks of a training camp to mentally get her in the spot of, I'm fighting this person at this weight. This is what the arena is going to be like. This is what I'm going to feel, When it's a short notice fight, sometimes, if you don't have a strong mental game, that stuff can kind of lapse on you. So I think there's a lot of factors going in. And like Bob said too, there's a lot more interesting avenues about Ladd's career than just what happened in the corner in this fight. But given not much else to talk about, it came to the headline. So it just is what it is.
Aspen Ladd, still the pride of Folsom, California, and a great Instagram page with some great dogs. One of them's name is Kylo Ren. So, still supporting.
Good.
Still
at least he got a happy dog at home.
Still,
so it's not all,
she got a couple dogs. So, again, Aspen Ladd, possibly the best Instagram in MMA, just for pictures of her hiking with dogs. Yeah, Andre Arlovski out here getting wins, guys. Andre Arlovski's still out here getting wins. He can do this as long as they ask him to, Mark. In this heavyweight division.
He hopefully doesn't, but he won this fight at 32-20. It's not a career which maybe you should be going into the deep rounds. But
I mean, it's time for
he's been able to get some.
I mean, in fairness, he was on AEW a couple weeks ago. Junior got a match. We got to get Arlovski in there. And don't worry, you're going to get analysis of Junior Dos Santos' match later on in this show, because I got thoughts about Junior's future career as MMA strongman. Jim Miller, 38th UFC fight.
Did he win?
Yeah, he did. Impressively, I heard too. I did not see it.
Got a knockout. Jim Miller, 22 wins in the UFC, ties Damian Maia for the number 2 spot. Number 1 is Cowboy Cerrone with 23 wins. I believe Cowboy has more fights in the UFC, possibly, too. See, that's nuts. That's a lot of fights.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot of fights.
It's
and Jim Miller, man,
career.
And Jim Miller never had a title shot.
No, he never quite got there. He never was really in top 5.
No, he almost did. Remember, because he had those. He had 6 or 7 in a row.
And I think he lost to Nate Diaz, and that was the end of that.
Well, he did lose to Nate, but that wasn't what derailed him. The derailment fight was Bendo's UFC debut, where Bendo beat his ass for 15 minutes. It was Bendo, aggressive Bendo, at the height of his powers, really. Jim Miller.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And Jim Miller had Lyme disease, or still does. I don't think you can get rid of Lyme disease, right?
You cannot.
Yeah. So Jim Miller has Lyme disease doing this shit. All right. MMA news this week. Conor McGregor punched a DJ. And let me tell you guys, what I appreciate about this is that nobody is out there saying Conor's a menace or anything like that. Because we, as a community, I feel
DJ is. Well, the DJ and his wife are saying he's dangerous and not to be approached.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I mean, he's probably that DJ is probably a menace because he's playing EDM or something.
That's what I'm saying. I think what's happened here is more likely the answer is that we've all just kind of accepted, like, okay, well, Conor's on vacation. There's going to be a few criminal charges. That might be more
swing on some people when you're on vacation, right?
But I think the other part of it is people are like, it's a fucking DJ. Probably had it coming. No one likes DJs. Okay.
I think no one likes DJs. No one likes these new age DJs where they basically just have like a fucking Spotify playlist and between like two laptops and like, oh, I'm a DJ. Like, no, man, give me some fucking turntables. Give me a fader. Give me a mixer.
Fat Boy Slim, man. That's the only DJ we recognize here. Fat Boy Slim. No, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. Guy got arrested. If he did it.
Wait, did he get arrested?
Did he even get arrested, or did he get? He got
heard
accused.
Was that he punched someone for no reason.
He got accused, right? There's not even a charge here.
I ain't hear nothing about no arrest.
All right, until they pull his passport, we'll just
lies in them charges, man. What are you talking about?
I mean, my folks are over there right now. Actually, today they're going, or I don't know what. Yeah, they're going to Italy. I'll have them investigate. Check the sports pages.
Conor's out there. He's large and dangerous.
Make sure to tell your dad to keep that head of his on a swivel, because
there's Irishmen throwing heat.
Conor's just out here hooking off on anybody, apparently.
I was about to do a shitty Conor impersonation, but I don't have it in me right now. Okay. Chuck Liddell, apparently telling the truth on some level here. Sounds like him and his soon-to-be ex-wife just have a bad situation going on at home, but nobody's getting charged with anything based on that incident about a week or so ago, which is, I guess, good news on that front. And best of luck to Chuck.
For divorce, so it seems like, the marriage definitely had some problems before this, physical alteration. And like I think we talked last week, Chuck said that, he was the one that was assaulted. I guess the police report said that he had marks on him and his wife didn't, but I think the daughter said there was a pushing match. So I mean, it was a whole thing. Yeah, that's why at the end of the day it's just like, okay, no one's pressing charges, no one's gonna be going to jail or anything like that, and they're probably doing the right thing if they're getting separated, which is unfortunate, but you don't want to be stuck in a relationship or a marriage where it's becoming violent, especially if you have children and stuff. So I think they're making
everybody the best.
Exactly.
Dennis. And more news in the domestic violence section of It's MMAzing Radio, which is just where
that's all it is nowadays.
John Jones, I think, finally said he didn't do it, or he didn't hit anybody. I think he said he didn't hit her, right? He didn't hit Jesse. His
there was some yelling.
Did he just shake her a lot? Like, what's? I
was gonna say he didn't say he didn't. I was gonna say he didn't say he didn't put hands on her.
The security guard did say that she was leaking, so you got to shake someone pretty fucking violently to start getting blood to come out of them. So
okay, I'm sorry for laughing, but puncher, you said leaking.
That is literally what I heard from all things. Like she was leaking.
I already know the hue and complexion of this security guard just by you saying that the security guard said, "quote she was leaking." All right.
Okay. That's the word on the street. I'm just reporting.
Also, just to make sure, semantics game here. John Jones said he didn't punch her. What did he say?
I think he said he didn't hit her.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, you think he threw a high kick?
I don't know.
He did some pancrace, open palm strikes. These are horrible jokes we're making of an awful situation.
I'm not trying to make jokes. I'm trying to see how I'm not trying to make jokes. I'm trying to see how he's trying to lie about this.
I think he said
he's not allowed at the gym right now.
Yeah, he got. Was it Winklejohn? Yeah. I think that was on the. We might have talked about it last. I don't remember, but he basically said like, I had a heart to heart with John and said that
he's like, I don't know if I'll even land it. I think
he's like, I'm not gonna. He's not welcome in the gym until he kind of like makes amends or something. Like he didn't close the door. Like he's never going to coach him again. But like he said, like changes have to be made. Obviously, the drinking's a big problem, and I think he said like it would be tough for me not to do that when I'm also teaching women self-defense. It's like, you got to be pretty good because John Jones out there attacking folks. So
come on.
make sure you're as good
Come
as
on,
John.
This podcast is gonna be we're gonna get canceled. Okay.
No,
I
but I
mean,
mean,
I gotta say,
that makes sense.
my-
If you're teaching women self-defense and it's like one of your main income is from a guy that allegedly, beat his wife, it's a tough look. So I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's some tough love that John's needed for a while.
Mike, don't make the joke you're gonna make because I have the same joke. All right, let's just continue. We both have the same joke. I know it too. All right. Other news. I don't know if this is news, but I've spent the last 3-4 days here getting all up to date on the Ariel Helwani versus. I'm not sure this is so much.
Everybody coming at him, huh?
No, Ariel and Brendan Schaub. Okay, I've gone all in here. I'm in the subreddit, the Fighter and the Kid subreddit, where there's literally 50,000 people who created a subreddit just to make fun of how bad Brendan Schaub is at life. Okay, all right. I'm all in here, and I'm watching these clips from the MMA Hour where Ariel is savaging Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen and the whole fucking operation over there. And people are just writing 10-7 Helwani under everything Brendan Schaub doing in his life. I have never enjoyed. I was laughing so hard at this, and all the PF Chang's jokes, which I finally understand. Well,
I don't get it.
Whenever someone I guess people were a lot of what people do is make fun of the way of what Brendan Schaub says and his lack of command of the English language. And his inability to speak clear words. And I guess people, I apologize to my other PF Changers out there, that apparently people who have talked negatively about, Brendan Schaub and fighting, they just working at PF Chang's, or they're these, and they're also, or they're homeless cats. That's what he refers to, who talking about people. If you criticize them, you are homeless or work at PF Chang's. That was the joke.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
PF Chang's a nice, fine, established chain restaurant. Doesn't seem like the worst place to work.
He has the lowest
McDonald's.
rated comedy special on IMDb.
That I can understand.
1.7.
Atrocious.
Did he come about that naturally, or is it just because people hate Brendan?
Well,
Schaub?
Brendan Schaub is just, no one likes him is what's going on too, because apparently Ariel's just getting messages from other fighters and people who've worked with him, and Ariel wasn't saying anything, but Brendan Schaub kept talking about how Ariel was fired from ESPN, which didn't happen,
and that I think no one liked them at ESPN.
Yeah, and also he said something how Ariel's banned from the city of Las Vegas or some sort of nonsense. Ariel literally on the show last week just said, "What the fuck is he talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, Ariel was talking about I got a degree from the best goddamn sports communication school in the country," and I'm like, Ariel is destroying him. And this apparently today on the show, Ariel said, "A conversation was had, a promise was made, so I'm not going to say anything else today." Which I think the promise was we're not going to say anything else, because Ariel said, "If you keep talking about me, I'm going to start leaking the stuff he knows." And by the way, Brian Callen,
not leaking like John Jones' fiance.
Okay,
Different type.
I don't know how to summarize this well enough, because it took a while for me to understand all the PF Chang stuff. I think you'll be surprised shit. Blockbuster. That's another one,
I'm just surprised Ariel's engaging with it because he's punching down.
So here's the thing.
I would
Joe
just
Rogan,
ignore it.
He's getting it from Joe Rogan. And I think he just I think honestly Ariel's had enough of this shit, because Ariel's bit his tongue on people shitting on him for a long time. Today, Ariel's just Corey Anderson was going to be on the show today. Corey Anderson asked to be on the show today. Bellator was cool with it. I was cool with it. And then Ali Abdelaziz banned his own fighter from being on my show.
All right. Well,
And he's
whatever.
I don't really don't understand how somebody pay someone and they're telling you what to do.
Yeah, you're paying your manager to, hey, don't promote yourself. It's okay, Ariel's one of the commanding voices in the sport. His show's a big deal.
Nothing happened. No one's talking about Bellator and ESPN. So you better hope Ariel's talking about it.
Yeah, he's kind of your best. He's your Showtime.
Yeah,
he's like your Showtime podcast.
Yeah, Luke Thomas's podcast does well too. But yeah, that's
fucking
Showtime.
Dylan Dennis is a nobody in Bellator, and I saw 3 or 4 news articles today on Dylan Dennis talking shit. All right,
I guarantee you more people know who Dylan Dennis is than Corey Anderson. Also,
Really?
I guarantee.
This is the Paul-
guarantee you.
this is the Paul
Sad
stuff
state
for
of
sure.
our
Yeah,
society.
Paul. Not even a question. Yeah.
Ugh, God, that's sad.
Okay. But yeah, if you guys want to have some fun, you go to the subreddit of the Fighter and the Kid, and woo.
I mean, if I'm Shaw, I would just be like, yeah, hate on me, because like, as long as you're engaging with the man, it's better than what I was doing before.
Ariel's
which was
talking
not
about
to
your
continue not to.
comedy shows. He's like, your comedy shows with 25 people at them, and I'm like, Ariel's killing this man in these things. I don't know. He touched a nerve, man. Ariel's like, don't lie about me and my career. He says, that's not how this works. He says, this is how I pay my bills. So
Yeah, and like Ariel Helwani is much more successful at what he does. I mean, than what Brendan Schaub does. Granted, Brendan Schaub's only been doing comedy for like what 3 to 5 years, but yeah,
you could say one's a master of their craft and one's kind of just waiting around.
honestly,
in the kiddie pool.
I would have. Brendan needs to stop with the stuff he's doing to his face. It's just. I mean, this is
what do
just,
you mean?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Look at a picture of Brendan Schaub. He's not looked the same.
Are you trying to say he's getting
So-
a little Hollywood?
He's very Hollywood. He's the most Hollywood motherfucker in Hollywood right now.
Well,
He got the Hollywood starter
These
gig.
comedians they hang out with, like, all they care about is like
Well, Joe moved to
popularity.
Texas.
Well, I mean, 'cause I think that's part of it. Is like Joe
He lost
fucking
Joe.
blew up.
He
Like,
lost
not
Joe.
only is he's one of their ilk, you know, but like he's blown up. He's making he's making millions of dollars now with his podcast, and they're all trying to. Like, I watch Bad Friend, which is Bobby Lee, and it's all just a jealousy fest, and they're all infected with the Hollywood. Like, oh, I'm trying to get big. Why am I not getting on the big shows? Why am I not this popular or whatever? It's just a rat race for them. So I let those rats run around and do their race. I'm not interested in it at all.
But Brian Callen, if I'm not mistaken, accused of rape by possibly 2 people, at least one. And I think Chris D'Elia goes on the podcast a lot, and I'll happily admit I found Chris D'Elia's specials to be really funny. Chris D'Elia's out here fucking 17-year-olds or something, or something like whatever happened to him.
Well, Chris D'Elia, I saw
Tried to fuck a 17-year-old?
I saw on the Fighter and the Kid Instagram. He just came back onto the show. I think he was out. I don't know if he was banging 17-year-olds, but he was definitely sliding into the DMs of 17-year-olds.
Not a good look.
So we got a Velveteen Dream situation.
Perhaps.
Man, D'Elia was blowing up too. Really popular, but he's a funny guy too. Fucking idiot. All right, let's make some picks. Mike, articles already created, so get in there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, did your job for you, my friend.
Thank you.
So we got ourselves a main event this week. Marvin Vittori, Borrachinio himself, Paulo Costa. We got the angry Italian versus the drunk Brazilian. The betting odds for this one, -160 to Marvin Vittori to +130 for Paulo Costa. Those are FanDuel lines ending in a 0. Don't know what happened to FanDuel today, but way to go. Mike?
If I may ask, why did you get rid of Stefan?
Because he's not on the show, and you're
No. Hey.
Mike, we can't. Let me just say this right now. We can't talk about this because nobody who listens to the podcast goes to the website. I have the numbers to back it up, so we can address this later.
Okay.
The podcast is there. It's a superfluous in nature. All right, that's what it is. The website, I mean. Mark, the betting line suggests that people are like, this seems like a close fight. Marvin wrestles more. He's the favorite. That's what I got out of that. Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you think, man? What's your pick for this one?
I am going to go with Marvin. And it was just looking at the record, and I think I know what the book is looking at and kind of picking him because, yeah, Marvin's a wrestler. Marvin goes the distance a lot. Marvin's gone 5 rounds a couple times. He's won a 5-round fight. And Costa is kind of the opposite. He rarely makes it late rounds. You know, his only decision was Romero. And I think that fight was actually a really good fight. I think that's Romero they're actually going after each other. And that was actually the fight that was kind of making me think, you know, Paulo might have something here. I'm picking Marvin mostly out of safety, mostly out of if he's able to kind of control the pace, and if Paulo goes out there crazy and kind of gas himself out, he's going to have, and if he can survive, he's going to have a great night. And even if he can't, I just think, you know, Marvin's better suited to take the shots, come out there clean, and in these later rounds have a lot more energy than Paulo Costa, who, you know, I think goes after the win hard. And that's what makes him such a fan favorite. It makes him such a fun fighter to watch. And hopefully this fight's more the same. I hope he really goes after Marvin and knows, like, look, if I'm going to win this fight, it's in rounds 2 and 3. So, you know, fuck energy for the 4th and 5th round. Let him try to reserve himself and let me try to blow him out there early. I think that's Paulo's best bet. And I kind of hope that's what happens. It'll make for a more interesting fight. I think Marvin's going to be measured, calculating. He's going to try to steal rounds by utilizing his wrestling, maybe getting a takedown towards the end, the last minute of a round, and stealing them that way. I just think that's a more guaranteed avenue than Paulo blasting him out early in the fight, because Marvin's a hard guy to put away. I don't think he's really gotten finished early on in a lot of his fights. Yeah, it looks like most of them have been decision losses. So yeah, that's where my head's at. That's where I'm going with Marvin. But I'm kind of pulling for Paulo to pull out a big win. Because I think he's an exciting fighter, because he goes after it. You know, even when he lost to Izzy, dude fucking tried. He wasn't sitting there waiting for it to happen. It happened to him, but, you know, at least the guy put an effort out there. So
he was walking towards it.
He ran right into the train, but at least he wasn't running away from it. So
I got exactly what you have for the same reasons you have, to be honest. I also don't know what Borrachino's out these days, man. I hope he got a bigger contract. He wanted more money to main event, so I hope he got paid a little bit more. And for my own sake, I hope he does win, just for my own entertainment wise. Because let me tell you, I'm just going to go ahead and pencil rounds 4 and 5 in for Marvin Vittori right now. Okay, so that's what I think. If it gets to round 4, I'm just okay. We're done here. It's Marvin's winning his next 2 rounds. But I can see Marvin get cracked. Virginia, it's hard, man. He hits real hard. Yep. He's a killer. He could be middleweight champion if it wasn't for Israel Adesanya.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I know he's not the same thing, but he knocked out fucking Uriah Hall standing.
He did, yep.
It's pure stand up. He knocked him out. That's impressive. You know, it's a very technical fighter standing. Yeah, I got Paulo there. I'm sorry, I messed it up. I got Marvin there. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was a little time there between the lead up to the Costa Adesanya fight. We were like, hey, these are like the 2 top guys in the division by like a country mile. But obviously that went away after that fight.
Sorry, real quick. I really still think I want that Whitaker Costa fight to happen one day, because I think that'd be a really good fight.
That'd be really good matchup.
Apologize, Mike. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. With a fight, honestly, I think that's close. I went with a different factor, and in this case is who still has sour grapes from their fight against Adesanya. And between these two, it seems that Vittori is the one, because
agreed.
In the lead up,
he's not even the one who got humped.
In the lead up to this fight, which is not against Adesanya, Vittori is still talking.
He says he won.
Steaming.
He thinks he won. That shit won't close.
That leads me to believe that his head is not completely in this fight, and Paulo Costa is not a guy that you go in there with thinking about somebody else.
As long as he shows up sober, we're good, right?
Possibly.
Yeah. So you got Paulo?
No vino before the fight. He should be okay.
Okay. Now, this one's going to be tough, folks. And we're not picking anything else on this card. All right? We root for Bruce Leroy, though, even though he's a big underdog.
Right.
And I feel we should pay attention to this guy you mentioned, Mark, because he's a massive favorite, Grant Dawson.
Yeah.
And we know who Rick Glenn is.
He's like 11-1 at lightweight. I mean, it's
and we know Rick Glenn. Rick Glenn's a good fighter.
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting. All right. Fedor in Russia.
Fedor.
I'm gonna emphasize that. Against Tim Cop Mustache Johnson. All right.
3 rounds.
Officer Tim Johnson. Okay. Taking on the last emperor in Moscow. 3 round fight.
Russia, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You got Fedor?
What's his last name?
Emelianenko.
That's Russian, right?
Yeah.
What happened the last time Fedor fought in Russia?
He lost 2 rounds to Fabio Maldonado and won a decision. I think he lost all 3 rounds actually to Fabio.
No, he for sure lost all 3 rounds against Fabio Maldonado.
Now I want to chime in here with an interesting little note I see here on Wikipedia for that fight. result unofficially ruled a draw by the World Mixed Martial Arts Association. However, that decision has not been recognized by the Russian MMA Union.
I have never heard of that fucking institution before.
The World Mixed Martial Arts Association. Neither have I, Mike.
Wait, are they the ones doing the trophies every year for the or that fight?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Outside of Fedor being knocked out, and then as
Well, how do you
being
fucking
knocked
think
out,
Tim Johnson
being
wins fights,
choked
man?
Out, and I would not put it past that they are drugging the tap water in Tim Johnson's hotel room with a very just slight roofie colada. All right, Fedor is winning this fight by hook or crook.
I mean, yeah, okay. Mark, you joining us here on Team Corruption?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unfair to think, the judging might be a little skewed in Fedor's favor. Although, looking at Tim's record, his last win was against Czech Congo in Paris. So you think there'd be some favoritism there? Now it was a split decision.
No, this is the French.
The
Czech
French
is black. They're
exactly.
not.
They're like the
French have their own
to cook the
racial
books.
issues.
The French don't think him French; they think him African.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That's what's going on in France.
Okay. But I will say, Fedor's chin is highly questionable. Tim Johnson is a heavy guy that can bust a grape. So I think there is some likelihood that Tim gets it done just on the feet. Outside of that, if he can't finish the fight, I kind of agree with you guys. Like, regardless of how the fight goes, the judging might already be the cards are already written and have been brought in. I would be surprised if this fight goes to the judges, how long it takes for those scorecards to come into effect, or if the announcer is going to be like, okay, the fight's over, let me go ahead and announce Fedor won, and we'll wrap this up, and we'll
like
get
an
home
Iraqi
for a nice
election.
vodka soda or
It's
something.
like an Iraqi election with Saddam Hussein. 98%. Yeah, for him. Last fight was for the interim Bellator heavyweight championship. By the way, Bellator is doing something with their lightweight championship because Pitbull doesn't want it anymore.
Wait, what?
He's like vacating.
He's vacating. I think he said he didn't deserve it. I don't know.
Wait, I thought the light heavyweight champ was Nemkov.
Lightweight. Sorry, lightweight.
Oh, okay.
Because he lost the featherweight one to AJ McKee, and he gave up the lightweight one. And they're booking his brother, who's coming off a loss, versus another guy who's coming off of a loss. And then somebody else is the clear number one contender, and he's not in it. So, whatever. No one cares who's the champion in Bellator.
It's like with Game of Thrones. There must always be a Stark and Winterfell. In Bellator, there must always be a Pitbull.
Yeah.
Going for the lightweight title.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
all
did
right.
we all pick Fedor by corruption?
Well,
More or
some
less.
way.
I think, like you said, like
I'm
Hooker,
imagining
what was it?
Mike's suggesting that if he gets knocked out, he still wins. So Mike's imagining a weekend at Bernie,
a
weekend at Bernie
that's too
situation
much.
where we throw some shades on Fedor and he'll prop him up.
Like that's if Stefan was here, he would bring up the first UFC game on Dreamcast.
Yeah.
If you had like a Game Shark, there was a code you can put in for you that you always win. So you can have a fight and get knocked out, and you still win the fight at the end. They show the replay of your ass getting knocked out.
Dude,
Like, come on.
Mark, I kind of wish I had a Dreamcast just for that game because
you get tired pretty quickly because it is rough.
do you still have it?
Probably, but it's like it's a Dreamcast UFC game. It is not good. From THQ when they took it over, it got significantly better.
I just want to say, no, I mean, you listen to this podcast, you maybe weren't an MMA fan back then. Hell, Mike wasn't. I just remember fucking Pedro Izzo was so difficult to beat in that game, all right? No matter what I did, it ended with Pedro Izzo standing over my unconscious body. Okay? It was fucking terrible. Pedro was in the game. Ron Waterman was in the game.
How bad
all the
this
greats
game
from back then.
Was Chuck in the game back then? Chuck and Tito?
I don't know if he was in the first one. Tito was.
Randy wasn't. Randy
wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like Gary Goodridge. The guy that Goodridge knocked out was like this Native American fighter who had like 2 fights in the UFC. It was kind of a hodgepodge.
Do you remember? Was it the UFC the third game that came out for THQ? Was the one that had Pride mode?
Yeah, that was undisputed.
Okay.
That was really
that was
good.
the best one.
Easily.
Straight up, easily the best game. But I remember when you were doing the career mode, like if you were champion, they'd offer you title defenses and like it'd be the really best of the best in the UFC. Or then they'd say, hey, or do you want to go to Pride and do like a Grand Prix? And that was the move to do because the Pride fighters were all worse than the UFC fighters in that game. I defended that title. Like I went down and fought Gary Goodridge so many fucking times in Pride. That's what I want to play. That's the one to play. What was
which
that for?
It was 360, PS3, and what sucks is a couple months
It's not
ago
on the
there's
4?
Huh?
It's not on the 4?
No, and you can't
fuck.
play PS3 games on
Yeah.
there. But what sucked was like when they were saying like, oh, we're gonna take down the PlayStation Network on PS3. I was like, ooh, I should snag that digitally because like I still have the disc, but it's it's packed away up in my parents' attic. I was like, oh, I want to play that game. I'd love to get. You can't buy it digitally. It is not on the store to buy digitally. And so it's like, oh, I got to dig out this disc. My PS3 is broken. It's almost impossible to play now. So, but it was a good one.
They really made it where you couldn't play PS3 games on PS4. That was such a, I don't know. Sony does some stuff sometimes, man. Anyway, all right, stuff we like, guys. Let's talk about Back for Blood.
Sure, we all got a hand in there at least once.
We all got a Back for Blood. Okay, folks, Back for Blood. Marcus is going to talk more intelligently about it. Go. How did this game come to be?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it previously. The developers that made Left 4 Dead, Turtle Rock, Left 4 Dead was produced by Valve, and kind of owns the rights for Left 4 Dead. So Turtle Rock made those games. They were very successful and really interesting. 1 and 2 came out like within a year. So I remember when they announced 2, I was like, shit, like that came out really fast. Like I'm not even ready for 2. I'm still enjoying 1. And they were both fantastic games. And you know what Valve often gets kind of heckled for is that they can't count past 2 because a lot of their big franchises end at 2. Half-Life ended at 2, Left 4 Dead 2, Portal 2. They seem to never fill out the trilogy. So there was kind of, a groundswell of people that wanted that type of game. And now there's been other games like it that have a 4-player kind of co-op where you're kind of fighting a swarm of AI. There's a quote-unquote AI director that is kind of changing the game and when enemies appear and what happens to you depending on how you're doing in the game. But there hasn't really been a proper sequel. So I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, Turtle Rock announced that they're making their own version of that. That's not Left 4 Dead, but it's Back for Blood. So it has all the same kind of marketing the Left 4 Dead had, except, it's being published by a different company, Warner Brothers. So they're basically kind of doing the thing that everyone kind of wanted them to do. And after having played it, it's very much that type of game. They've added some new wrinkles to it, which I think are appreciated. Mostly being that, you do have more than 4 characters. The first 2 games just had 4 characters that you had to play as those 4, and there's 8 in this one. The characters do have, weapons that they bring into each mission to kind of make them a little unique. And I think they all have unique abilities, whether it's like more ammo capacity or reviving people or holding more med packs or what have you. And then I think the big wrinkle in the game is there's this whole card system where basically each time you get to a safe room, you get to have your own decks. The decks have cards. The cards are like little boons that you get for your character, whether it's just like adding more health or quicker reload time. More involved ones usually have like a couple perks and then one negative thing. So you can kind of build decks that kind of curb one way or the other. Like, oh, I want to have a mobile deck, so I'm going to have a lot of cards that help me be faster and my stamina, refreshes quicker. I'm going to have a deck that's more power based and my bullet damage is going to be doing more and what have you. So those are interesting things. And then each room, each little sub level that you go through will have these corruption cards, which kind of give you challenges that the AI has. So like one time it might be, everyone has to survive the run. No one can get incapacitated. Sometimes it's, find the special item and bring it back to the safe room. Or it could be a couple of things like, oh, there's heavy fog, so your visibility is lower, or there's going to be special infected, or the special infected are going to have unique abilities or whatever. So they're doing more things to make each run more different than just the AI, and the placement of enemies are going to be different each time you do it. And then for what we played, which we haven't really played a ton, there is more of an emphasis on story than there was in the other games. Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 kind of historically told a lot of its narrative through dialogue that was either dialogue between the characters as they were going through a level or written dialogue on walls that you go in the safe room and you'd hear, sometimes they'd have multiple safe rooms where it's like, oh, this same person is writing these messages and I'm kind of getting a story I'm putting together about, what happened to them and their struggles with the zombie apocalypse. But other than that, it's been fun. The core mechanics are very much the same. You do have iron sights, which weren't in Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. There's a larger variety of weapons that you end up picking up on your runs. And while you're doing your runs, you also get different attachments. So the runs do kind of have this roguelike kind of nature to them, where each one's going to be different, not just because of who you're fighting, but what weapons you pick up along the way, how you upgrade those weapons and that stuff. So it's given enough wrinkles to kind of make it interesting, but none of us have gotten super far into the game to say, if the narrative is any good or anything like that.
Honestly, it's everything I wanted it to be. Short of just making Left 4 Dead 2 again, it was basically the game I wanted it to be. I thought it'd be really fun for all of us to play together. We went out there, we were successful. We sacrificed Mike at the end. Well, I'm not sure we sacrificed Mike as much as Time Warner Internet sacrificed Mike. Right, Mike? That's really what the culprit was.
Let's not disparage Time Warner Internet. Let's disparage Spectrum Internet.
Spectrum Internet.
There you go.
Yeah, out of Philadelphia, I think. But I thought I had a really good time. I liked the new additions, because I'm one of those people who will kind of ignore a lot of that shit. I think I don't do any of that card shit and like Madden and stuff, because I think it's fucking stupid in that, to be honest, because it's a goddamn game where these people exist. Why are they getting boosts? Anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. I play as the old woman, Mom. She carries an extra health pack because you need it. But I thought it was really fun. Mike, we were playing Left 4 Dead, right? Back in the day, right?
We were. We played Left 4 Dead 2, if I'm right, for the 360.
Yeah, that was fun, man. What'd you think, though?
I enjoyed it. I don't really see myself ever playing it by myself. I don't see myself playing a single player by myself.
I never played the other one by myself either. Did you, Mark? Did you play Left 4 Dead 2 by yourself, really?
No, I probably did with bots every now and then, because the bots are decent at shooting stuff, but they don't help with objectives at all. Like they'll never take a key and open a door for you. You have to do all that shit yourself. But I'll play with randos. And my experience there has been mixed. The first game I played, like the guys were talking, and I was like, okay, I'll jump on Mike and be a team player. And this one kid was so fucking obnoxious. Like me and this other guy just immediately shut up and was like, all right. And I think I told Bobby at work, like I was gonna mute everybody, but the other guy on that we were playing with, like, was just vibing with this dude. Like this dude was being really obnoxious. Like, oh, you might not have noticed, I've played this a few times before. He wasn't good. He was just being obnoxious, like, oh, like, maybe you don't notice. Oh, guys, come over here. There's an ammo pack. And the other guy's like, okay, cool, man. Cool. And he was just vibing with them. So I was like, okay, I kind of like how this guy's not getting fucking annoyed, because I'm fucking annoyed. This guy's such a
I like that
this asshole.
Mark was playing with George Takei, apparently. That's what I enjoyed in the voice.
I can't admit he had a voice and a personality that said, like, he's probably, like, doesn't have a lot of friends, probably kind of, like, not antisocial in the way, like, he wants to talk, but, like, people probably just put him down a lot because, like, his personality is just kind of just rubs you the wrong way. He kind of just talks like he knows everything. And it's like, I didn't say this. Like, dude, I've been playing Left 4 Dead since, like, it's been over a decade. Like, I kind of know you shoot the zombies, you have to keep moving and shit. But, I didn't want to get into it. The other guy was vibing on him. He was having a good time. So I'm like, I'm not going to poo-poo on anything. I'll just be along the ride and shoot my zombies. So.
Hey, Mike.
I mean, that was just top notch.
Oh my!
Really? Of all the names throughout there, I mean, you're right, but wow, that was very random.
I saw some article about him shitting on Shatner the other day, and I was like, right on, George.
Called him fat.
I called him fat.
Fucking Billy Shatner finally makes it to outer space, and we got this hater just in the back, like, you look real fat in your fucking spacesuit, fatty.
Move over, fat ass. Don't breathe all the limited oxygen, fat ass.
But Back for Blood, it was really good. It was real fun. I look forward to when we can all play again.
Yeah, Marcus, you got any other stuff for this week? Let's go to you.
There's really only one other thing that kind of popped up that I started really enjoying. I feel bad. I don't think any of us, and Mike, maybe you have, and it would not be bad for our SEO. Still haven't watched Squid Game. I know it's good. I know it's good. Everyone's telling me. No, I haven't. I was gonna.
Mike did.
Mike did. Yeah, which maybe you can expand. Like, I'm excited to watch. I know it's good. I've heard enough good things from people that their recommendations hold a lot of weight. But it's just I know it's kind of more of a drama, kind of more serious. So those shows are always a little. I have to be like in the right mood set. And a type of show that I'm always kind of down to give a shot is comedies. I love comedy. You know, a nice ha is always going to be more appealing to me than like let's deal with emotions and feelings. And a nice ha show. I found out when our friends from San Francisco, Josh and Jess, came over. There's this HBO show called Avenue 5. I don't know if you guys heard about it. I don't know who's the actor that played House.
Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, so he's the lead actor in this one, and basically the short premise is he's a captain of a starship that's like a cruise ship. So it's kind of like a cruise ship that goes around space, and then things go awry, and you know he's trying to figure stuff out or whatever. It's just a really fun comedy, and I think there's a lot of people in there that you guys would definitely recognize. Who is the guy in Silicon Valley that could fuck the big tall?
Oh, Zach Woods.
Yeah, Zach Woods is in it. There's this. If you watch an episode, you'll see like, oh, there's a lot of people on here that I kind of recognize. And it's, I mean,
if someone hasn't watched Silicon Valley, I'm
like
just enjoying what they have. I've just learned about the show based on that. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's another character like this. He's kind of this unseeming guy. And
You described them. You described them not as like the chief marketing or like the.
No, I don't think we should explain it either. That's fine.
You just
he's the guy who could fuck.
He's the guy who fucks.
He's the guy who can fuck. That's it.
By that.
So no, someone's gonna watch Silicon Valley and like 2 seasons in, like this guy has not shown anything about fucking. They haven't mentioned him having intercourse with anyone or talking to a woman at all. And then there'll be one episode and you're like, okay, now I get why. This is the one thing that, you know, DJ Mark put out. But I have not finished the first season. There's only one season. It is on HBO Max. It's super enjoyable. I've really liked it. Every episode, you know, laugh out loud moments, you know, at least 3 or 4 per episode. If not other just funny bits that, you know, maybe I'm not laughing out loud, but I'm thoroughly enjoying. So yeah, I definitely recommend Avenue 5 if you haven't checked it out.
I will second. You will enjoy Squid Games. I
know it.
I know you mentioned like, oh, it's a very emotional thing. I mean, this shit ain't Bridgerton, all right? Like, it's emotional, but I mean, the actual the actual games itself, it gives it a very nice break from a lot of the emotion.
I would imagine, from what I know about that show, like the games seem like they'll be kind of the action, potentially comedy points. You know, I know they're kind of violent, but no comedy, no funny when someone gets died in a silly game.
There's no funny. This isn't wacky deaths in this show, but
because I know the first game is red light, green light, so it seems like there'd be some kind of hijinks going on.
No.
I gotta see. I don't know. All I have is what I've absorbed.
Well, it depends what your definition of funny is, and if you find it laugh out loud funny, we need to search your closet for bodies.
Okay. My closet's open, baby.
Mike, what else you got, man? Mike's still laughing at my George Takei line like 10 minutes later.
that was pretty good. I will give you guys a to be continued. I started watching Dune last night.
I need to watch the first one before the new one comes out too.
I mean, this one just came out, Mark. What do you mean?
Did you watch the new one? I thought it comes out on Friday.
Oh, well.
You got an early release. How'd you do that, Mike? We're not going to ask any more questions. Maybe it came out in
Mike,
Europe
isn't there a whole lawsuit? Is this even going to HBO Max? Is this going right to theaters?
It is. I think it's going to Max. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it did
release. It already released in Europe like a month early, which is kind
Mike's
of
in London, folks. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, he's international.
I mean, I guess what I meant to say was that I was watching the old version of Dune, and I thought, you know what? I can't wait until the new one comes out.
And then we can all talk about it next week.
That's why I said to be continued. So I'll come back with my review of it next Monday when the movie has come out.
Good job, Mike. Way to go. All right, folks. This is the wrestling part of the podcast. Lock out the MMA connection first. Mike, did you catch Dynamite and Rampage or just one of the two?
I caught most of both.
Okay. Yes. So let's go straight to the Junior Dos Santos part of this, okay?
AKA Sagat.
Yeah, Junior came out dressed like Sagat, all right? People appreciated that. My favorite thing about Junior in the match was that he's supposed to be a bad guy, and Sammy Guevara got a hot tag, you know, which if you're not a wrestling fan, just some quick way of describing it, about a bunch of cool shit's about to happen. All right, he's hot in the match. He's gotten the match. He's hot. Sammy Guevara's doing all this cool shit, and Junior forgets that he's on the other team and gets excited and puts his arm up like, hey!
That was pretty nice.
Yeah, that was my favorite part, I think, for Junior. Honestly, though, Mike, for a guy who never wrestled before, he did really well. I thought he did really well. He had the same problem a lot of MMA fighters have when they do matches, is that they don't know how to throw worked punches. So his punches kind of sucked. It took Shayna Baszler like 2 years, like just now Shayna Baszler, I believe, her punches, to do it. So I think if Junior wants to do this, Mike, I think he could.
Well, you know, it's always I think a little weird for those people that actually do it for real. Like I remember in gym class when I was in high school, the baseball players all sucked at slow pitch softball because they're so used to hitting like 80, 85 mile per hour like heaters that when they just get a fucking ball just like lobbed to them, like they would always just strike out. So I think it's the same with MMA fighters with wrestling, you know, where it's hard to make it look real, but it's fake, the thing that you were actually doing for real before. I think Junior looked good. I think he took that one really good body slam off from Jake Hager really well, and then I think he offered one in return. He looked pretty athletic doing it. So
he went through a fucking table too.
Yeah,
he got Uranagi or rock bottom through a table. So that was pretty cool. Jake protected him a lot there. With the MMA people that are showing up on AEW, Masvidal hit a flying knee again. And if he's gonna wrestle this match with Jericho, if this seems like where we're headed, November 13th, he's gonna turn around 4 weeks later and fight Leon Edwards.
I can't see that happening, man.
I mean, we got to see, but I mean, maybe we do it on TV when after. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Maybe you're gonna do it sooner. Maybe you're gonna do it at the end of this month.
If that's the case, then Masvidal will not be taking any type of bumps. This isn't gonna be, you know, Shaq going through a table off of the ring like he did against Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Paige Van Zandt is really good at this.
She's getting a lot she's getting a lot of heat as a good heat as a heel.
Yeah.
I like her gimmick of whenever they go and jump people in the inner circle that she just starts taking selfies. It's actually pretty nice.
She honestly, I guess Dan Lambert was on Ariel's show today, and Dan was there. And Dan is killing it, by the way. Dan is such a good shit talker. But they asked about Paige, and he said Paige is made for this. And he said Paige, when we were going to go out there, Paige asked me, "What do you need from me?" And I told Paige, just go out there and be a bitch. And like, she was killing it, and Jericho was shit talking her, and they need to get a woman for Paige to wrestle in the inner circle. And the whole match was great.
Just one more thing. I'm sorry, Bobby. Just one more thing on Paige. I thought was fucking hilarious on, I think it was Saturday when Jericho cut his promo. When Jericho is cutting his promo and talking shit to Paige, and he tells Paige, you got a little thing for Chris Jericho for the inner circle? Well, I wouldn't touch you with your husband's genitalia. Big pop happens, big pop. Then it dies down a bit, and all you hear is an aside from CM Punk. I don't believe him.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. CM Punk was hilarious on commentary.
That's a good bit.
If Jericho used to... the stuff Jericho said in the 90s and 2000s to Stephanie McMahon on TV is, oh my God. Whew. Yeah, that was really good. Okay, the other part, just the general wrestling thing. This week was really fun for those of us who lived through the late 90s and the Monday Night Wars, because WWE decided that they're going to have SmackDown go an extra half an hour just to fuck with AEW. And they did a commercial free, and they put on Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch, which is one of the biggest matches they can put together. And then they sent Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns out there right afterwards, commercial free. AEW in retaliation said, hey, an hour before our show starts on YouTube, you can just watch fucking Dream Match, Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki, which Mike, that was art.
That was a
match.
pretty good
No
fight.
one took any bumps.
Yeah.
There was like 3 bumps in the entire match. They were just chopping each other and elbowing each other. It was fucking sick. They did that. They put on a pre-show, and then, they sent CM Punk out there in the first half hour of Rampage, and they won. AEW beat SmackDown in the ratings for that half an hour. WWE got embarrassed. They picked the fight, and the guy running AEW, Tony Khan, is taking a victory lap, Mike, which is objectively hilarious. He is rubbing it in their faces because they came after him. This is 2 times WWE came after them.
And Tony
WWE's 0 for 2.
Tony Khan, he was on, I think, one of the Barstool Wrestling podcasts last week talking about it, and I learned the term that I guess is a very old wrestling term, WYW, Watch Your Wrestling, and I guess Tony Khan is a very big proponent of that. It's like,
that's his own thing.
Is that his own thing?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it sounds like something that's very old. But yeah, like I guess he's not trying to go head to head with them. But hey, if they want to pick a fight, he'll come out swinging.
And Roman Reigns talked some shit this week, in character, but still talking shit, where he said, AEW, just a bunch of little brothers there. I could throw them all out of the club. Junior Dos Santos immediately said, hey, Roman, where's this club? Which, I mean, Roman can't say shit there. And then Roman, Ruby Soho beat him. Or tied him in the ratings this week.
Ruby Soho and the Bunny, which I love Ruby Soho and I love the Bunny, but the thought of the Bunny tied with Roman Reigns in the ratings it's hilarious.
I think we're still 5 days out. Do we have another show, or is it this week where the WWE embarrasses itself for money?
I don't think we have Dynamite again on Wednesday this week.
No, I meant the Saudi Arabia show.
Oh yeah, that's this week.
This week? It's not next week?
I believe it's this week, isn't it? Yes, because the finalists for the King and Queen of the Ring are being made this week. And isn't that happening at Crown Jewel, the final, or no?
Thursday, October 21st. Okay.
That would be this week. Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, they're gonna make Goldberg. They're gonna make Bobby Lashley lose to Goldberg. Just saying, that's gonna happen. All right, do we get to talk about something consequential next week, Mark? Is that what's happening next week? Do we get to talk of something of consequence?
Yeah, it's a good card next week. I think that's the free pay-per-view card.
Not free.
I thought
we pay for ESPN Plus.
Okay. Yeah. But not an additional charge.
Yeah.
So, like a fight night, if you will. Like a top quality fight night that's getting the pay-per-view number attached to it. And that's the
Yeah, let me real quickly mention what's on this card.
In front of me right now.
We got a main event of Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira for that UFC Light Heavyweight Championship.
Right.
We got a co-main event for the interim Bantamweight Championship of the World. Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying those words out loud, Mark. This is going to be a fun stand-up fight.
Yeah, that's going
to be a banger. We got Dan. I'm surprised he's going to be able to fit through the arena doors with his big nuts hooker taking on Islam Makhachev.
That's right.
Nobody wants that fight. People don't want to fight Islam. You do not look good. We got Alexander Volkov, Marcin Tybura. We got Li Jinglang getting sacrificed to Khamzat Chimaev. Assuming he's okay. Because he's the one who got fucked up by COVID real bad.
Of all the fight cards to make free, why this one? I mean, this one's a pretty good one. You could probably actually get some money for this.
I think you put enough Europeans on here, time difference. I mean, I think they've been serving us shit sandwiches now for the last month.
They're doing a pay-per-view the next week too, so they're like back-to-back. So I'm guessing they're thinking it's going to be hard to squeeze people 2 weekends in a row. But yeah, I don't know why this wasn't earlier this month or what the logistics of it. Probably because the venue in Europe. Is it in Europe, Bob? That's the shtick here.
No, this is Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
So maybe there's time difference here also.
Okay.
They might as well. I mean,
okay.
how much do you think how much they paying Jan? You know, is I mean,
decent, but
there's
nothing
no
crazy.
points to give him this time. They got, man, what if Glover Teixeira at age, what is he, 42?
If he wins, Bobby, Bellator has the best light heavyweights in the world.
I don't know. Glover, man, the nicest light heavyweight out there. And also Volkan's opening the card. It's a 6-fight main card. I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, we got Amanda Ribas on the undercard there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. What time does this shit start? There's a lot of fights on this card. Like there's 14 fights. There's 14 fights on this card.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, it's a morning card though. I'm gonna make myself an omelet and coffee. I'm a big fan of watching fights like that. Yeah, we're talking about that next week. Until then, everybody please be safe. Please get vaccinated. I was Dr. Law. That was DJ Mark. And that was the tardy Lavender Gooms. We see y'all next week. Peace out.
See ya.